Namaste,
everyone.
Namaste. Namaste.
Recording has started, sir.
Okay. Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhati Purvam Yo Vai Vedamscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tam Hadevam Atmabuddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya Om Shanti 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 Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha, Gurave Sarvalokanam Bhishaje Bhavaroginam, Hidhaye Sarvavidyanam Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Okay. So, we started on 29th May last year, 2024. And today happens to be the session number 50. Yeah.
Wow.
So we've come a long way. So congratulations to all those who have stuck around for this long.
All
And
thanks to you, Vasudevanji.
it also,
But nobody, congratulations to you also that you, because
Exactly.
of you, yes.
no. The thing is, I also need some audience to make it happen. So I think the audience share the glory. So whatever glory it is, so it's a joint effort.
It is a joint effort,
Yeah.
yes.
So I have the experience of having started quite a few of these courses with
Yeah,
15, 16, 17 participants, and then towards the end I only have 2 or 3 people left.
really.
Okay. So, and very often the last 3 people who are there were not part of the first 15. So that means the entire first 15, 16 people vanished. So that has been my experience. So anyway, so this has been good because I see quite a few people who were there from the beginning. That itself is an achievement. Okay,
Yes.
right. So last class, okay, this week I can share my screen. So I'll share my screen, makes it easy. And so last week we saw 27 onwards. I think 27, 28, 29, 30, or 28, 29, 30. We saw, and in 30th shloka there was a portion where I was not very sure. We'll just go back to 30. I'm showing screen on the screen shloka 30. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. So etayor mandata yatra viraktatva mumukshayoho marau salilavattatra shamader bhanamatrata. That was the shloka. So in these 3 shlokas, 28, 29, and 30, the Acharya is comparing the influence of one quality over the other or the entire sadhana. So Vairagyam, Mumukshutvam, these are taken for analysis. And so he was trying to say that Vairagyam is one of the most important qualities. Vairagyam together with Mumukshutvam can help you to improve all the other qualities. So that was the general stress of these shlokas. So where we were actually stuck was this Marau Salilavat Tatra. Okay. So the first line says Etayor Mandata Yatra Viraktatva Mumukshayoho. That means where the Vairagyam and Mumukshutvam are not available in a certain minimum level, Mandata means deficiency. Marau Salilavat Tatra. Maru, the word, we were all talking about Maraha. The word is not Maraha, it is Maru. Maru means dry sand.
Yeah.
Marau Salilavat means it's mirage water. Salilam is water. Marau
Yes.
Salilam means the appearance of water, mirage water in the hot sand. Okay. So what
Yeah.
he's trying to say is, if Vairagyam and Mumukshutvam are lacking, it is useless. Exactly like how mirage water is useless. You cannot drink mirage water, you cannot take mirage, take bath in mirage water, it's of no use. So Shamader Bhana Matrata. So Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, even if they are available, it will just be some kind of a what we call Namke Vaste. Bhana Matra. Bhana means an illusion. Bhana means it is an appearance. It is not really there. It seems to be there, but it is not there. So even if some Shama, Dama, Uparama and all qualities appear to be there, those qualities will become useless in the absence of Viraktatvam or Vairagyam and Mumukshutvam. Yeah, does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I think you've been trying to say
Yes.
something. I was kind of interrupting you. आप कुछ बोलना चाहते थे किशोरी जी?
नहीं.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Right. So that was Marau Salilavat Tatra. Okay, sir. Can we move on
Yes,
to
Vasudevanji.
376? Yeah.
Yes, I would like to say that in Hindi, it is called Marubhumi, where you have sand,
Correct.
Desert
Yeah,
sand.
Marubhumi means
called
desert.
Marubhumi. Yes.
Marubhumi is desert.
Yes.
Okay. So I think we were on 376. We progressed enough to
Yes.
376, I think. Yeah. So I'm
Yes.
showing 376 now.
Mhm.
So we already read that shloka. Vairagyan naparam sukhasya janakam pashyami vashyatmanah tachet shuddhataratma bodha sahitam swarajya samrajya dhuk etadwaram ajasra mukti yuvater yasmat tvam asmat param sarvatra sprihaya sadatmani sada pragyam kuru shreyase. That was the shloka. So the first two lines basically say that just Vairagyam alone can give a lot of peace of mind. Just Vairagyam, no Jnanam. So here Acharya talks about two types of Vairagyam. One is Jnana Rahita Vairagyam, that is Vairagyam without being accompanied by Brahma Jnanam, and Jnana Sahita Vairagyam, which is Vairagyam now strengthened by the acquisition of Atma Vidya. So when a Vedantic student prepares himself for the Vedantic study, he has to develop all these qualities, Shama, Dama, Uparama and Vairagyam, Mumukshutvam, Viveka and all that. So even before the Vedantic study begins, the student has acquired a good amount of Vairagyam. So in that state itself, he is able to feel a lot of peace of mind. And then he comes to the Vedantic study, which is Jnana Yoga. And then this Vairagyam is further strengthened by the Atma Vidya. So he achieves what we call Atyantika Sukham. The previous one was Apekshika Sukham. This is Atyantika Sukham. And how do you... Sorry?
Atyantika Sukham Buddhigrayam Atindriyam. That is how they express.
Okay. Right. It sounded a little like Bhagavad Gita, but
yeah, it is.
Not exactly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Buddhigrahya Matindriyam is Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
But I don't think Atyantika Sukham comes there anyway. So,
okay.
So how do you acquire that initial Vairagyam? That is something the Acharya has not mentioned here, but this we have to understand. This initial Vairagyam is acquired by performing Karma Yoga. So it is the Karma Yoga which develops the quality of Viveka and Vairagyam, and then with that initial investment, the sadhaka comes to Jnana Yoga, And then through Jnana Yoga, that Vairagyam becomes Atyantika Vairagyam. Okay. And I also gave the example of that, 11 levels of lokas, and each loka having 100 times the happiness of the previous level and all that. And at each level, the person can, not at each level, even somebody at the Bhuloka, if he develops Vairagya for those higher lokas, he can enjoy the benefit of those higher lokas. That is the actual meaning of that mantra. The mantra has a, sorry. Yeah, the mantra has a word, Shrotriyasya Akamahatasya. Shrotriyaha means one who has learnt the scriptures properly, and Akamahataha means one who is free from desire. One who has not been beaten by desire. That is the exact translation of Akamahataha. Akamahataha, one who has not been beaten by desire. Such a person who is full of Vairagyam, even if he is in Bhuloka, he can develop that level of Vairagya for all those lokas, and he can enjoy the benefits of those lokas here itself. That is the meaning of that Upanishad mantra that I quoted in the last class. Okay, so that, and finally that Swarajya Samrajya Dhuk, actually the Acharya here is comparing this Jnana Sahita Vairagyam to a cow, because the word Dhuk means to milk. To milk, as in, when you milk a cow, you get the milk. Okay, in the Gita Dhyana Shloka, Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha comes. Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha. So the Bhagavad Gita is compared to, the milk that Krishna, the milkman, extracted from the cows, which are nothing but the Upanishad. So Upanishads are compared to cow, and the essence milk that comes from the Upanishads is Bhagavad Gita. That is the meaning of that Sarvopanishado Gavaha Dogdha Gopalanandanaha. And then there is another shloka in Dhyana Shloka also, which says Dugdham Gita Amritam Mahat. So that Dugdham means milk. So the word Samrajya Dhuk here means, if you imagine this Jnanam to be a cow, that cow is capable of giving you the milk of mukti. That is the simile that the Acharya is using. So that was the first two lines. Okay, now we'll go to the third and fourth line. Etad dwaram ajasra mukti yuvatehe yasmatvam asmat param. So ajasra mukti is everlasting liberation. That is eternal liberation. Okay, etad dwaram. Dwaram here means it is the way, gateway. And here the word yuvati is used to compare mukti to a woman to whom this person is getting married. Maybe in today's world, this marriage example may not be relevant, because you are seeing so much of divorce happening all around. So marriage really doesn't mean much. But in Shankaracharya's times, marriage meant a lifelong commitment. So that wife and husband, they never separate. So you have to take it in that context, not in today's context. So this yuvati called mukti is getting married to the sadhaka. Okay, yasmat tvam asmat param. That yasmat tvam asmat param, you should understand that you are nothing but Brahman. Okay, that param you have to translate as Brahman. Your swarupam is Brahman. Sarvatra asprihaya. Okay, that tvam you have to bring it out. That tvam, no, you have to bring and join it with kuru. Tvam kuru. Okay, etadwaram ajastra mukti yuvatehe yasmat asmat param tvam pragyam kuru shreyase. So shreyase means for attaining liberation. Sarvatra means always. Asprihaya. Asprihaya means without being attached to anything. That is with full vairagyam. And one has to remember here that when we say vairagyam, it does not mean any kind of resentment or hatred or disgust or any kind of negative emotion towards the world. It is absence of both raga and dvesha. So that has to be understood. Very often in some languages, the word vairagyam is used in a fairly negative sense when you are frustrated or when you are disappointed with something. That is when you develop vairagyam. But here this vairagyam is very neutral vairagyam. It simply means completely detached and indifferent. You don't have any hatred also, no negative emotions, no attachments also. So sarvatra asprihaya. And when you say sarvatra, it means for a grihastha as often as possible, because this shloka is more addressed to a sannyasi who has all the time in the world for only doing this nididhyasanam. But for a grihastha, the person has to attend to a lot of other work also. So as often as possible, as much as possible, devote time for prajnam kuru. Prajna, as I said, means nididhyasanam in this context. I even quoted that mantra. Tameva dhiro vijnaya pragyam kurvita brahmanah nanudhyayad bahun shabdan vacho viglapanam hi tat. That was the Brihadaranyaka mantra. There the word prajna is used to denote nididhyasanam. So the prajna in this word, in this shloka also means continue to do nididhyasanam. So that was 376. Any questions, doubts? Do we need more explanation?
Vasudevanji.
Yes, sir.
No questions, but if I may be allowed to make a small lighter comment or a note here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you mentioned that in today's context, this may or may not apply to many people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it means in today's world, people are even willing to divorce moksha itself. That's
no. They are not willing to. They have.
Okay.
No, willing to means you somewhere had a desire, but you gave it up. No, people don't have the desire at all. So they never come there.
Okay.
No.
Right.
So people, see, we are seeing a lot of people who don't even get married but have children. Okay. So the very institution of marriage has lost its sanctity.
Yes.
So that is where we are. Anyway, so let's not go there.
Okay.
That's a very slippery area. So are we good for 377?
Yes.
Right.
Sir, sorry, sir. I see a raised hand. Whoever orange monkey is.
Yeah. Namaste, Vasuji. Rahul Narayan here. I have a question, Vasuji. You mentioned that people develop vairagya when they become sad or unhappy. Why did you say that? I wanted to understand it better.
No. In Tamil, we have actually this expressions: shmashana vairagyam, prasava vairagyam. Shmashana vairagyam means you attend somebody's funeral, you go to the ghats and you see the body being cremated. So after seeing all that, you end up thinking, oh, what is the use of all this life? Ultimately one day we are also going to be cremated like this, so the whole life is meaningless. That thought comes, but after a few days you come back to the same old rut. That is one level of vairagyam. That is called shmashana vairagyam. You develop some kind of a vairagyam for a few days. Similarly, prasava vairagyam means, back in those days, today again that example may not be applicable. Back in those days, people used to have 10, 11 kids, or sometimes even more. And the whole process of getting pregnant, carrying the baby for 9 months and delivering the baby is actually a very painful process. So apparently the woman Every time she delivers a baby, she says, this is my last baby. So she develops the vairagyam towards the conception. But then after a few months, she again gives birth to another baby. So that is prasava vairagyam. Okay, but nowadays, people don't have babies at all. So they don't develop vairagyam even before the first baby comes. So today's world is a completely upside down thing. We cannot use any of these examples in today's context. Okay. So what we say is, whenever you go through a hardship, whenever you go through a crisis, you seem to develop some wisdom, which you can explain somewhere by saying that, I'm learning from my mistakes. I will not do it again, kind of thing. But then a lot of people, they keep repeating mistakes. So that vairagyam that you have in one crisis is short-lived, and it doesn't help you to avoid the next crisis. That's what I meant.
No, understood. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Great. We'll go to 377. Asham Chindi.
Asham
Asham
Chindi.
Chindi.
Vishopameshu Vishayeshu.
Vishopameshu Vishayeshu.
Vishayeshu.
Eshaiva Mrityoh Kritihi.
Eshaiva Mrityoh Kritihi.
Tyaktva Jati Kulashrameshu.
Tyaktva Jati Kulashrameshu.
Abhimatim
Abhimatim.
Munchati Durat Kriyaha.
Munchati Durat Kriyaha.
Dehadavasati
Dehadavasati.
Tyajatmadhishanam
Tyajatmadhishanam.
Pragyam Kurushvatmani.
Pragyam
Kurushvatmani.
Tvam drashtasyamanosi.
Tvam drashtasyamanosi.
Nirdvayaparam Brahmasi yad vastutaha.
Brahmasi yad vastutaha.
Asham Chindhi Vishopameshu Vishayeshveshaiva Mrityokritihi Tyaktva Jati Kulashrameshu Abhimatim Munchati Durat Kriyaha. Dehadavasati Tyajatmadhishanam Pragyam Kurushvatmani. Tvam drashtasyamanosi nirdvayaparam brahmasi yad vastutaha. Okay, so this is some kind of a concluding shloka where the Acharya is summing up all the teachings of the earlier 5 or 6 shlokas, where he highlighted the role of Vairagyam, and that he is concluding here. So, Asham Chindhi. Asham here means all desires and expectations. And Chindhi means to cut out, cut off. Cut off means what? Detach from, dissociate from. Why? On what? Desires on what? Vishopameshu Vishayeshu. So the word Vishaya means all objects, worldly objects. And the word Vishaya itself is etymologically derived from the root Visinoti, which means to bind. So the very word Vishaya means something that binds you. Okay. And it is compared to a Visham. Visha Upameshu. So all external objects are compared here to Visham, which is poison. Okay. Now this is a very Vedantic view, not to be taken literally in practical life, but in a Vedantic sense. Why is it poison? It is poison because it keeps you away from the Vedantic studies. If you are, you cannot be attached to the worldly things and pursue serious Vedanta in the same intensity. No, like I said in one of the earlier classes, the Upanishad itself says, Duramete viparite vishuchi avidyayacha vidyeti jnata. So Duramete viparite. Durame means they are completely poles apart, and viparite means they are completely opposite in nature. So you cannot travel towards the north and towards the south at the same time. You have to choose, either you travel towards the north or you travel towards the south. Similarly, you have to at some point make a choice whether you want to pursue material, material objects and material goals very intensely, or you want to moderate that and pursue Vedanta intensely. That choice one has to make. So as long as you are intensely attached to worldly objects, your pursuit of Vedanta is hindered, and in that sense, it is a Visham. And what is wrong with being attached to worldly objects? It will simply move you from one Janma to another. You will never be free from this cycle of birth and rebirth. So from that point of view, one has to consider all the worldly objects as Visham. Visha upameshu vishayeshu Eshaiva mrityokriti, that he is explaining in the next word. Mrityokriti means it is a cause of death. And death here doesn't mean physical death. It is spiritual death, which eventually translates into repeated death in repeated janmas. You can also take it that way. Mrityokriti means it causes you to die and be reborn again and again and again. So as long as you don't come to Vedanta and seek liberation, you're going to be in this endless cycle of Janma, Marana, Punarjanma and all that. Okay. So because of that, Tyaktva means by giving. Giving up what? Giving up what? Jati Kula Ashrameshu Abhimatim. So Abhimati here means a pride. In Hindi, they have this word Abhiman. Abhiman means you are, a very stubborn and very proud person. So this Abhimati is the pride or Abhiman of Hindi. And Abhiman in what? Jati Kula Ashrameshu. So you may be very proud about, being from this jati or that jati. There is I am a Kshatriya or I'm a Shudra. No, I mean, you're not generally not proud of Shudra, but I'm a Brahmana or I'm a Vaishya, I'm this Kula, that Kula. So all those pride, which are basically connected to your physical body, okay, and ashrameshu. You may have this pride that, I am a great grihastha or I am a sannyasi. All those ashrama based pride also one has to give up. Muncha atidurat. Muncha means to give up. Atidurat means, in English we have this saying, don't even touch it with a barge pole, because a barge pole is supposed to be so long. So if you are touching something with a barge pole, it means you are keeping a good distance. So don't even do that. And munchati durat kriyaha. And what is the after effect of attachment? It gets you into more and more activities, worldly activities. So if you want to give up attachment to worldly objects, you also have to give up attachment to worldly activities. Worldly objects and worldly activities, they go together. So this is just a summing up of how one has to practice Vairagyam in a practical way in the day-to-day life. Then what? Third line. Dehadau asati tyaja atmadhishanam. So in the first two lines, the Acharya is asking you to give up the attachment to the properties of the body, because jati, kula, ashrama, these are all properties of the body. Here in the third line, he says you give up the attachment to the body itself. Dehadi asati. Deha adi means all the koshas. Your annamaya kosha, pranamaya kosha, manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha. Vijnanamaya kosha is also ahankara. So what we call body-mind complex. They are all asat. Asat means mithya. Mithya means temporary. It is bound by time and space. So tyaja atmadhishanam. So atmadhishana is the self-identification. So don't identify yourself as your body or your mind or your intellect. Give up all of that and prajnam kurushva atmani. Prajnam kurushva means may you practice nididhyasanam. Atmani means in your true nature, which is your Chaitanya Swarupam. And how do you do that? What is the nature of that Atma? That is the fourth line. Tvam drashtasi. You are the sakshi. Here the word drashta means you are the witness. So you are the witness of all that is happening to all the anatmas. Amanosi. The word amanosi really means the one who does not have a mind. Okay, and that's an Upanishadic expression, because in the Mundaka Upanishad, the mantra runs like this. Yattadadreshyam agrahyam agotram avarnam achakshushtrotram tadapanipadam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam. Is that mantra? Amanaha aprano hyamana shubhra. Yeah, there is a previous mantra. It says aprano hyamana shubhra. Apranaha means the Chaitanyam doesn't have a prana, and amanaha means it doesn't have a mind. You may wonder how is that possible. For that you have to go to Kena Upanishad. In Kena Upanishad, the Upanishad says, I'll chant some 5 mantras and then explain the relevant mantras. Yad vacha anabhyudidam yena vagabhyudyate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam vedidam upasate. Yen manasa namanute yenahur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam vedidam upasate. Okay. Yen manasa namanute yenahur manomatam. That means that which does not think through the mind, but because of which the mind is capable of thinking. That is the glory of Chaitanya. Are you getting the drift where it is coming? That
Please
which
repeat,
does not,
Vasudevanji.
sorry,
Can you
Please
please
repeat.
repeat it? Yeah.
that which does not depend on the mind,
Yeah.
but that on which the mind depends for it to be capable of thinking. That is the meaning.
Yeah. Mhm.
The Atma Chaitanyam can exist without the mind, but the mind cannot exist without the Chaitanya.
Okay.
Okay, and there is one more. Yat pranena praniti yena prana praniyate. That's another mantra. Yat pranena praniti yena prana praniyate. So the Chaitanyam does not require prana for its survival, but the prana requires the Chaitanyam to function as a prana.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the Upanishad mantra. That's the Kena Upanishad mantra. Yat pranena praniti yena prana praniyate. Because of which prana is known as prana. That is Chaitanyam. So we all think that prana is supreme, but the Vedas say that prana itself depends on the Chaitanyam. And so it is a Chaitanyam that actually governs everything. So that is Amanaha. That is Amanosi, and there is an easier version that you can follow. Amalosi. Amalosi means the pure one. That which is not sullied by anything else. That which is not mixed up with anything else. That means it is not touched by Anatma at all. And what is the ultimate Anatma? It is Maya. It is not touched by Maya. It is free from Maya. That is Amalaha. Okay. Nirdvaya Param. Brahmasi. Nirdvaya means Advaitam, the one without a second. Brahma Asi. Brahma means the supreme one. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Yadu Vastutaha. That is your reality. So when one performs Nididhyasanam meditation, whether with samadhi or without samadhi, these are all the thoughts that must be repeated in your mind. I have repeatedly said that the Vedantic Samadhi or the Nirvikalpa Samadhi of the Vedanta is not a thoughtless state. It is a state in which the mind is actively harboring thoughts of this nature. You have to just replace Tvam with Aham. Tvam means you. here the guru is telling the Shishya, you are drashta, amanaha, amalaha, nirdvayam and all that. So when you are meditating, you have to say aham. I am drashta. Aham drashta asmi. Aham amanosmi. Aham nirdvayosmi. Aham brahmasmi. All those must be the thought in the nididhyasanam meditation. Okay. Now I'll stop here because I think it was too much, a lot of information in one shloka. I'll just keep quiet for a while. Please reflect on the shloka, whatever you understood or whatever you did not understand. If you want me to repeat something, please ask me to say it, because it's a very important shloka. It is kind of condensing all the earlier 5-6 shlokas essence. I don't want to rush through this. Okay, no questions. Everybody is clear.
Trying to comprehend Vasudevanji, but what I can mention here is the part you explained, right? Where mind is dependent on the Chaitanya.
Yeah.
For the mind to exist itself in the first place,
Correct.
and for mind to experience.
Mind, wait a minute. You have to understand, like, for the mind to function as the mind.
Okay. Got it. Fine.
Yeah. The mind functions as a mind because of the power of the Chaitanya.
Okay.
Okay, there is an even clearer mantra in the Kenopanishad itself, in the beginning portion. It runs like this. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso manoyat vachoha vacham sau pranasya pranaha chakshushas chakshuhu. Okay, that is the portion which is relevant. So, shrotrasya shrotram means it's the ear of the ear. Manaso manaha, it is the mind of the mind. Okay. Vachoha vacham, vak here means the speaking power. It is the speaking power of the speaking power. Okay. Vachoha vacham chahu pranasya pranaha, it is the prana of the prana. And chakshusha chakshu, it is the eye of the eye. Okay, this is the beginning portion of Kenopanishad. You know, the Kenopanishad is a very small Upanishad. It's got some 22 or 23 mantras totally. If you learn it by heart, you can chant it in 3 to 4 minutes. It's a powerful Upanishad. It packs every teaching in those 22 mantras. And this is the opening mantra actually. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso manoyat vachoha vacham sau pranasya pranaha chakshusha chakshuradimuchya dhiraha. That's how the guru makes an opening statement. So it's like first ball sixer kind of thing. You know, if you have watched one-day matches, it's like scoring a sixer in the first ball of the match. It's like that. So it's a very powerful mantra. So it says the Atma, you know, when you say eye of the eye, the first eye is a capital E. The capital E-I, E-Y-E of the seeing eye. Similarly, the mind, capital M, mind of the thinking mind. So without this Chaitanyam, none of these organs can function in their, in their effective way. That is the teaching in Kenopanishad. You know, in the later part of Kenopanishad, there is a story. Okay, I'll lighten this whole thing by giving that story. Yeah, Kenopanishad has a very interesting story. You know, Devas and Asuras, they generally keep fighting battles after battles. Okay, so in one such battle, the Devas won against the Asuras by the grace of the Lord. Okay, you can say in this context it is Shiva. Okay, so Shiva actually helped them win that battle against the Asuras. And then the Devas are having a kind of celebration party. Okay, and they are all praising each other. Oh, you did like that, and all that. Yeah. It's like, after match, when in the dressing room, when the team, pats on each other's back, right? So they won a very thriller T20 match or thriller 50 over match. So the team is patting everybody else on the back. You did this great and that great and all that. So like that, the Devas were, appreciating and congratulating each other for the performance in the war. As they were doing it, they noticed a shining yaksha at a distance. Yaksha is, there are several lokas in the higher planes. So you have Yaksha Loka, Gandharva Loka, and Siddha Loka, and all that. So Yakshas are one of those divine beings in one of those lokas. They are not Devas, they are a separate category, Yaksha. And apparently in this case, the Yaksha was a very bright Yaksha. And these people did not know who that person is. So they first send Agni. Hey, Agni, you go and find out who this Yaksha is. So Agni goes. He goes there with the intention of interviewing that Yaksha and trying to ask him, who are you and all that. But the moment he reaches the presence of Yaksha, Agni becomes tongue-tied because he's so enamored by the glory of that Yaksha that he can't even get out one word from his mouth. Then the Yaksha interviews Agni. He asks him, who are you? like an interviewer asking a fresher candidate, who are you? What's your introduction? So the Agni says, I am Agni. I am Jataveda. Jataveda means one who knows everything, actually. Okay. Then the Yaksha says, okay, what can you do? It's like saying, what's your claim to fame kind of question. Then Agni says, I can burn down everything around in this world. He says, I can burn everything around in this world. Then the Yaksha says, don't worry, you don't have to burn everything around. I'll give you a blade of grass. You try to burn this. So he drops a blade of grass on the ground. And then Agni tries to burn it. Doesn't get burned. He gives us full power. All the possible power Agni can give. He tries to give, that blade of grass doesn't burn. It is there like as it was. Then Agni, he loses face. He realizes, okay, this Yaksha is not an ordinary Yaksha. He's some great guy. He quietly returns back. And then the Deva asks him, okay, did you find out who it is? He says, no. I was not able to find out. He just gives off some excuse. Then they send Vayu. They send Vayu, you go and find out who it is. Then Vayu goes, all puffed up. Okay. And then the same thing happens with Vayu also. He goes with the idea of interviewing the Yaksha, but the Yaksha, makes him dumbfounded. So the Yaksha asks the same question, who are you? Then this man says, I am Vayu. Matarishwa. Matarishwa means one who can freely roam about in the sky. I am Vayu, I am Matarishwa. Then he asks the same question, what can you do? He says, I can uproot everything around in this world. Any building, any tree, any forest, any hill, I can uproot everything. Then Yaksha throws the same blade of grass and says, look, you don't have to do all that. You just try to uproot this blade of grass from the ground. He drops that grass. Then again Vayu gives us full power and nothing happens. The blade is just there, unmoved. Then the same thing happens to Vayu. He also returns, says, I can't find out who it is. I don't know. Then seeing all this, Indra decides to come on his own. The Indra comes near the Yaksha and the Yaksha disappears completely. Okay, so at least the other two people were able to talk to the Yaksha and make a conversation. In Indra's case, the Yaksha didn't even bother to meet Indra, he just disappeared. Okay. Then Indra has a little bit of intelligence. So he thinks and then he prays to Uma, Parvati. He realizes, something is wrong. Maybe I am doing something wrong. He kind of introspects and then he prays to Parvati and Parvati appears in front of him. And then he asks Parvati, okay, I saw one Yaksha a few moments back, but when I came, he disappeared. Can you tell me who that Yaksha is? Then she says, it is nothing but Shiva itself. And you fools, you won that battle because of Shiva's glory. And you are all, patting yourself on the back without being thankful for Shiva being your savior in this battle. So she then gives him the knowledge. So this story is nothing but a kind of a watering down of the teaching in the first two sections. This story comes in the third section. So the first two sections of Kenopanishad is a teaching, and the teaching is very compact and very terse. So for those who cannot really follow the teaching, the story will help. It shows that without Shiva, Devas could not have won that battle. Exactly like that, without the Chaitanyam, nothing moves in this world. That is the conclusion. Finally, I hope the story was helpful.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
Okay. So can we do one more shloka? 378.
I just wanted to. Yes, thank you.
Sorry.
I would like to ask a question. Can you just clarify again, because it is a bit confusing also, because I think some overlap each other. Can you please once again differentiate or try to explain the differences between Atma, Chaitanya and Brahma?
They're all the same, ma'am. They all
then-
mean exactly the same.
Yes, but then you said Atma cannot function without. Atma is basically a smaller subset of Chaitanya.
No. That's
Okay,
if I
then I
had
misunderstood.
said that, you can beat me for it. I'm
No,
sure
no,
I didn't
Prana,
say
I
that.
think.
I'm sure I didn't say
Prana, I
that.
think.
Maybe
Prana. Okay. I
prana,
wrote.
prana,
I thought it was Atma. Sorry. Then
prana,
it's clear.
prana.
Okay. Then it's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So Brahma, again, the word Brahma can cause confusion because the word Brahma, depending on the context, can mean different things. Okay. In some contexts, the word Brahma means the Vedas. So in that context, it's very easy not to confuse. Brahma in those contexts will mean just the Vedas. Okay. Then there is a Brahma with 4 heads who's married to Saraswati. That is a Brahma with a limited function of just creating the world. Okay.
Right.
And then there is a Brahman. That Brahman is the
Yes,
Nirguna Brahma.
Yes, that's what I meant. That's what I
That
meant.
Brahman is a Nirguna Brahman. That is
Yes.
the Satyam Jnanam Anantam. That is the Chaitanyam.
Yes.
That is the
And
Atma.
that's right. Atma, Chaitanya, and Brahman is the same thing.
Correct.
I understand. And
Correct.
where does Maya stand in all this?
Well, Maya, depending again on the context, in some cases, Maya is explained as the Shakti of Brahman.
So it is the force basically of Brahma.
You can call it force, energy, Shakti, whatever. See, that is where again we are going into an area where Advaitam has a view, other schools of thoughts have a different view. Okay, so in Advaitam alone, we split Brahman and Maya into 2 entities for the purpose of understanding. And then after a certain level of teaching, we dismiss Maya as Mithya. Whereas in the other schools of philosophy like Visishta Advaitam, they don't accept a Nirguna Brahma separate from Maya. They always consider Brahman and Maya together as a Saguna Brahma. So that's a philosophical split that we will not enter into because that will confuse you. I don't want to teach Visishta Advaitam here. Okay. But in Advaitam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, that is the Chaitanyam, that is the consciousness, is the true entity, and it is a one and only true entity, which is why it is Advaitam. Then you may ask me, why is then Maya being mentioned? If you mention Maya, it becomes 2. That is why we say that Maya does not have an independent existence. Maya depends on Brahman for its existence. But Brahman can exist without Maya.
No, Maya can't exist without Brahman also.
That's what. Maya cannot exist without Brahman.
Yeah.
Brahman can
exist.
and
Yeah,
does
yeah,
exist without Maya.
yeah.
Okay, so that is the very fine line that you have to understand.
Right.
Because you may wonder, we talk about Advaitam all the time, but then we also have Maya. So if there is Brahman and Maya, there are two things. Why are we talking about Advaitam? That's the very classical question that the other philosophies ask against Advaitam. Okay,
Mm.
so the correct interpretation of that is Maya is not counted. It is like, you go to a restaurant, you have mirrors on the wall. When you have two opposite mirrors on the wall and you sit in the middle, you have what? Infinite number of reflections on both sides. Have you ever seen that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but when you order food, you order only for yourself. You don't order for the images, right? Yeah, because even though they exist, they don't count. So you have to understand Maya like that. It exists, but it is not counted. Like, for instance, your shadow is existing. You can experience your shadow. But when you travel in a bus, you don't buy a ticket for your shadow.
Right.
Yeah. So that is the way one has to understand Maya. It doesn't count. I think somebody raised their hand. Yeah.
Yeah, it was me. I
Yes,
think
sir.
as you were giving, this was the thought that was coming. I think somewhere they say this is this anirvachaniya Maya, or as Krishna says, Daivi Kesha Gunamahi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameve
Yeah.
Prapatyante Maya Mikam Tarantite. He says nobody
Yeah.
can understand my Maya.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. In fact, in Shankaracharya's commentary, somewhere he says, if you understand Maya, it is no longer Maya. The very definition of Maya is that something you cannot logically understand. You cannot logically explain, not even understand. You cannot logically explain Maya. That is Shankaracharya's statement. In Viveka Chudamani itself, around 106 or 108, there is a shloka which describes Maya. I'll see if I can get that shloka. Sannapya sangat vibhyatmikano. Something like that. Bhinnapya bhinnap vibhyatmikano. I think it's around 12. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
109.
Yes.
Yes.
Sannapya sannapyubhayatmikano, bhinnapya bhinnapyubhayatmikano, sangapya nanga hubhayatmikano, mahadbhuta nirvachaniya rupa. So this entire section is actually a description of what is Maya. Okay. From 104 or somewhere. Atmarthatvena hi preyan vishayo na swatapriya swatayeva hi sarvesham atma priyatamo mataha tata atma sadanando nasya dukkham katachana. That is the conclusion of the Atma Swarupam. Up to 106, the description of Atma is there. And then 107 onwards, Acharya start talking about Maya. Yet sushuptau nirvishaya atmanando anubhuyate shrutihi pratyakshamaityam anumanam cha jagrati. From there onwards, he is describing Maya. And 109 is a very famous shloka that a lot of people quote. Sannapya sannapyubhayatmikano means what? Sat means existent. Asat means non-existent. Okay. It is not existent. It is not non-existent. It is not a mix of both. That is the meaning of that first line. Okay. So when we say existent, we say it exists all the time, everywhere. That is the definition of existence, which is absolute existence. Non-existence means something which can never exist. The examples we give is rabbit horn or human horn, or I gave this example in one of the earlier classes also. Vandhya putra. Vandhya means a barren woman. A barren woman is someone who cannot conceive a baby. And Vandhya putra means a boy born to a Vandhya, which is impossible. Okay, so Maya is neither existent nor non-existent nor a mix of both. That means what? It has a dependent existence or it has an apparent existence. And we give a lot of examples for apparent existence. The simplest example we give is the pot made of clay. Is there something called a pot? Really speaking, there is nothing called a pot, because pot is nothing but the name and form given to a clay in a certain form. When you shape clay in a particular form, it becomes a pot. So pot really is no material, it is clay. But in a given shape and form, you call it pot. So pot has a dependent existence dependent on clay. So these are the kind of examples we give for dependent existence. So Maya has a dependent existence dependent on Brahman. And similarly, the other three lines are similar like that, Bhinnap, Abhinnap, Yubhayatmikano. Bhinna means it has divisions. Abhinna means it is undivided, one whole. Ubhayatmika means it is a combination of two. It is neither. It has parts, it doesn't have parts. It's not a mix of both. Okay, so these shlokas have to be studied together to get a complete view of Maya. And at the end of all these shlokas, you will still not completely understand, and that's what Maya's nature is all about. It is something which cannot be logically explained, which is called Anirvachaniya. The word Anirvachaniya comes in the fourth line. Maha Adbhuta Anirvachaniya Rupa. That is Maya. Anirvachaniyam means that which cannot be explained. Okay.
Vasuji, I have a question.
Yes,
So
sir.
you said that yeah, I understand that Maya's existence depends on Brahman. But is there any scope that there exists Brahman but no Maya? Is it all possible, or is there any example of that?
See, we have a shloka. I will not give you a direct answer for this. Okay. I somehow lost that shloka. There are 6 anadi. Okay. There are 6 anadi vastus. And Brahman, Maya are the 2 of those 6 anadi vastus. Anadi means they don't have a beginning. So ever since Brahman has been existing, which is beginningless, Maya also has been existing. Okay. So if you understand Maya as the Shakti or energy of Brahman, then they are actually not physically separable, but they are logically separable. Let us understand it that way. Maya and Brahman cannot be physically separable, but they are logically, in your intellect, you can separate them. Okay, does it in any way answer your question?
Yes, it answers, yeah.
Yeah. This discussion about Maya, this discussion about Maya can take a long time, because any amount of answers will keep evoking more questions.
But
Okay.
I have a question, that why would people like to find out about, or intellectual like to find out about Maya? Like you said that to understand Maya is very difficult, or something like that. I'm just paraphrasing. So
Okay, let me ask you a counter question. You have heard about CERN, right? CERN.
yes, then yeah.
Yeah. So if you go through the history of CERN, they have been building, what is it called? The thing where the electrons are thrown around at a very high level. Cyclotron.
Electron collider. Yeah.
It's called cyclotron. I think
exactly. Cyclotron. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've been building bigger and bigger cyclotrons with millions and trillions of dollars to find what? To find the ultimate particle.
Got it. Yes,
Yeah. And that is because Maya is very good at deception. It convinces the scientists at every stage that you are so close, just one more step, one more bigger cyclotron, you will find out. So that's a temptation that Maya keeps giving all the time. So the attraction towards anatma is the handiwork of Maya. That is how philosophers explain it. Maya is very attractive. Maya has all the color and taste and smell and everything, whereas Brahman is actually dry. Brahman, really speaking, is very dry. It has nothing. And Maya is very attractive. So people are always attracted towards Maya, which is Maya's job of keeping the sadhakas distracted from Brahman as much as possible. Okay, so that is why people are attracted to understanding Maya. When you try to understand the world, you are essentially trying to understand Maya, because the world comes from Maya, right? So all the branches of knowledge, the so-called branches of knowledge that you find being taught in the universities are all what?
Vidyan.
They are called Vigyan, but Shankaracharya calls them Agyan. Because they are all Anatma Vidya. All that the universities are teaching is all about Anatma. They never teach you about Atma Vidya. In one of the bhashyams of Shankaracharya, he says, there, the discussion is Paravidya, Aparavidya. Aparavidya is Vidya about the Anatma, and he says, Aparavidya hi avidya, he writes. Okay, the more and more you research into Anatma, the more you realize that you know less and less.
You have a valid point. I understand everything, but I still, you made a statement that Brahman is dry and Maya is what is an attractive kind of thing. Then my question becomes, like, I understand the Maya part, okay, but now my question is, when you say Brahman is dry,
Sir,
then
1 minute. There is some difficulty in your voice. I'm not able to hear you. It's probably a lot of echo. Are you using a headphone or something? Or are you on speakerphone, maybe?
Now is it better?
Much better. Yeah, no
Okay,
echoes. Thanks.
Yeah, perfect. So my question is, when you say Brahman is dry, and then there are these kathavachaks and everybody who says that if you do nam jap and then you you become ecstatic. So what are they referring to then?
See, the kathavachaks will generally not teach you about Nirguna Brahma. All the kathavachaks tell you about Saguna Brahma. And Saguna Brahma is Brahman associated with Maya. Okay, Saguna Brahma means you give a name, a form, all that. Ram, Krishna, Shiva, they are all Saguna Brahma. Even Durga, even Devi, Ganesha, Subramanya, all of them are Saguna Brahma. They are all given a certain shape and a form. And all the Kathavachaks talk only about Saguna Brahma. No Kathavachak will tell you about Nirguna Brahma, because Nirguna Brahma is a very abstract thing that is not easy for normal people to understand. But what we are discussing in these series of sessions is Nirguna Brahma.
Okay,
So can we, oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Subhashini ma'am. We can talk to Shubhu after you finish.
Okay, sir. I mean, to Rahul Mahodaya's question, I just had this thing. It is exactly to what you said. So if Maya is distracting us from Brahman, so even if the Katha Vachaks, everybody say to do the Nama Japa, it is like putting back our thought on Brahman. So to the distraction what Maya is causing, they are asking us to again put our distraction, or our thoughts back to Brahman. So
You're
this is a
converting the
solution.
distraction to attraction.
Attraction to Brahman. So they are pulling our thoughts away from the worldly to God by Nama Japa. Yeah.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Correct. Shubhuji?
I sort of, being not very, I was thinking, I try to differentiate it like that Brahman is the sort of the celestial soup that we see up when we look up into the sky, and the lightning bolts and the thunder and whatever is Maya, because there is the force coming out of the celestial soup. Can you say that like that? or is it wrong?
No, you cannot see Brahman even as a celestial soup.
No, I know,
Because
but the idea that there is something up there or something around us, and the manifestation of it in a powerful way, in a force, is like when there is lightning, when there's wind, when there's breath, when there's sunshine suddenly. That is, for me, that is what the change is, and that change, which is actually the force, is Maya. That's what I'm trying to say, but I'm saying it in a different way, probably.
see, all that you experience is coming from Maya.
Right. Okay, fine.
Everything that you experience in an objective way, whether it is thunder, whether it is lightning, or whether it is rain, or the stars, or even a celestial soup that you talk about, all of them are objectified. They are objectively experienced, and all of them belong to Maya. The Brahman is the subject, it is a witness. That's why we said in that shloka, drashta, the word drashta was used. 376, I think. Drashta means the witness. That means witness can never be witnessed. You know, in one of the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad mantra, he says, Vijñātāram are kena vijaniyat. There is a mantra. Vijñātāram means the knower. The knower cannot be known. Yajnavalkya says. So the Brahman is always the subject. The Brahman can never be objectified. Yes, sir, Venkatesh. Please unmute.
So if for a second I follow the discussion, so would it be an interpretation to say I should not try to understand Maya, I should try to identify Maya, because the moment I identify Maya, it disappears. As long as I try to understand, it tries to indulge me and I keep getting deeper and deeper lost into it.
See, what I'm trying to say is you can understand Maya at a very high level, but you can't explain it. Exactly like how the scientists in CERN are not able to identify the ultimate particle thereafter, or they can't even explain what a particle is.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I'm saying, sir. I should only identify in the sense that I should know that this area is what is going as Maya. The moment I understand that this is
Exactly.
Maya, this is not Brahman, Maya
Yeah.
disappears.
Correct. So, as the easiest way to understand is anything you experience as an object is Maya. End of story. Okay. Anything, that is the mantra in Brihadaranyaka. Neti neti. Na iti means you dismiss everything that you experience as an object as not this, not this, not this. So all that you experience as an object is Maya. And Brahman cannot be objectified because Brahman is the eternal witness to everything. Yeah.
Dream is also Maya, and is dream then an object?
Of course, when you say dream, you're seeing the dream, right? So dream is Maya. Dream is a work of Maya.
Okay, ji.
I mean, is that so difficult to accept?
No, object is was difficult to.
No, when I say
understand.
object, I'm saying in a grammatical sense. There is in a sentence you have a subject, predicate, and object.
Okay, got it. I thought it in a physical
Predicate and
sense.
object. So a subject is something that does something to the object. So when you are witnessing the dream, you are the subject, the dream is the object, and witnessing is the predicate.
Okay, ji, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So dream is an object, and you are the witness. Okay. So I think we should stop here. We'll chant the concluding shlokas, and after that, give me just 30 seconds. After that, stop the recording, and we'll. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Sarvesham Swastirbhavatu Sarvesham Shantirbhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु, सर्वेऽपि सुखिनः सन्तु, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, please stop the recording, ma'am.